Well, howdy folks. Charlie with Typewriter Justice here, and that is probably one of the smaller typewriters ever made. And one of the best, my opinion. These little three banks are quite snappy. 1923, November 1923, Underwood 3-bank. Underwood standard portable typewriter. This was the backbone of Underwood's original portable line, and mechanically it shares a whole lot in common with the 4-bank version that they put out shortly after this one. I think it was after this one. It might have been concurrent. I think it was after. But, you know, as you get to know these machines, you can spot a whole lot of similarities between this and the later machines, because they're there. They might not look anything like each other to the casual glance, but I assure you there are similarities. This is a machine that I restored for Mark down in Fort Worth, and I'm gonna do a little video to kind of show the ins and the outs and how to use one of these things. Figured that'd be a good reference for him. To start off with, when you go to take the machine out of the case itself, this handle's in decent enough shape, so you could actually use it to carry the machine by. Most of these handles I wouldn't trust, but that one looks pretty darn good. The latch on this thing looks like a button, but it's actually a slide. You push it to the right, and then front of this case will lift right up, and then you kind of want to scooch it back to disengage these hooks here. When you go to put the machine back into the case, these hooks will need to scooch up underneath the rear of this base plate. You'll see that there are little metal bits right there, and that's where those hooks go. And you'll notice that the machine is attached to the base plate, right? That's something that you can either leave it that way or you can take it off of the base plate, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So when you take the machine off of, or out of the case, it's most likely gonna have the carriage locked like that. It should be locked. You know, you go to press on the figure or the caps keys and it's not gonna work. You need to grab the carriage, pull it to the right, and that'll disengage the lock. Now those will work. That's just a function of the lock to keep it from beating itself to death inside the case. Now, when you go to put it back into the case, you'll want to engage that lock, and it's this little bit right there. You just reach over, hold that up with your finger, and then slide the carriage to the center. And that will lock the carriage in the center position and keep this knob from getting smashed up against the edge of the case. So, unlock it like that, and then you're about ready to use it. You know, with your figure and your cap key here, there is a lock for both of those. Push down on the lock, it'll hold it down. Push on the button, and it'll disengage it. And that works for either of those. Ribbon transport controls are gonna be over here on the right. You have a 3-position ribbon selector here, and all the way to the right in the black setting is gonna be for the top half of the ribbon. In the center is gonna be the stencil setting, and we don't use stencils very much anymore, so you're probably not gonna use that. In that position, the ribbon won't work at all. And all the way to the left is the red half of the ribbon. Most of the time, it'll be over here on the right. Now, this lever here, that is your ribbon direction reverse. This model of machine does not have an automatic reverse mechanism for the ribbon, and so you need to keep an eye on where your ribbon is, whether you're getting close to one end or the other. Now, for this particular machine, what I've done for the ribbon, if you watch right here, you'll see that that says reverse ribbon. And if you continue past it, the ribbon goes black right before it locks up. If you see that, that means it's time to reach up and flip the switch to where your ribbon winds the other way. And the ribbon's done like that on the other end of it as well. Transport controls are gonna be up here on the right. You have your carriage release is right there. Just push down on it and that'll let you move the carriage wherever you want. This is your margin release. When you get to the end of the line and and it stops, you can hit your margin release and keep going. Now, mind you, as you get close to your paper fingers here, these little guys, you need to make sure that that's going to be pushed out of the way, because these just slide around, right? And you put those wherever you want the edges of your paper to be held down. Your paper release is this lever here. Pull it forward, and then you'll be able to adjust your paper side to side to line it up, or pull it straight out. Continuing around to the back, we have the paper rests, the little antennas, which, if you're going to display the typewriter, I think it looks pretty cute with the paper rests up. They're like little antenna. Also on the back here, we have the margins. These are a little bit counterintuitive because the left margin is on the right and the right margin is on the left. Easy way to think about it is when you get to the end of the line, the bell dings, and the one with the bell is the one for the end of the line. So this is your left margin, this is your right margin. These you just push down and then slide, and they'll click into place wherever you'd like them. On the left end of the carriage here, we have our index controls. You'll notice there's a little pad here, a little shelf for your thumb. Put your thumb there, with your finger there, and pinch for your indexing. That will let you advance it in one line and then go to the side. And you can just go like that, but it's not going to index. It'll push the carriage, but it won't index. So that's what that's for. You pinch it. This little lever just underneath there is your index selector. Up is single space, so it only clicks once. Down is double space, so it'll click twice. Around the back, you have an index detent. If you engage that, then the indexing is completely disengaged, so you can rapidly move a page from top to bottom. And that's really it for all the controls on these. They're fairly streamlined little machines. Now, if you want to take the machine off its base plate, there are 2 screws right down in here, which you can just take those screws out, and then the machine will pull directly off its base plate. I'll go ahead and do that to show you how, because there's a kind of a trick to that as well. Get my screwdriver in there. You'll most likely need a magnetic screwdriver or a magnet to get those out. I'll use my magnet here. So you have the screws out. Lift up the front of the machine just a little bit, and then you need to pull it forward, and I'll show you why in a second. So it pulls forward just a little bit, and then lifts right out. And the reason is that those rear feet sit down inside these 2 slots. So if you just lift straight up, it's either going to tear the feet, which is not likely, or pop them off, which is somewhat likely. The feet on here are brand new. Those are handmade by Steve Dade out in California. He did an excellent job with them, as he always does. New body mount bushings, brand new rubber on the platen, brand new rubber on the feed rollers. What else did I do on this machine? Chemical clean, full polish, reworked the decal down here. I left this decal as it was because, you know, that's wear from being used. That's part of what gives the machine its character. You know, that's not something you want to change, I think. That's part of its history. What else did I do? Tuned a whole bunch of stuff. And did one rather tricky repair. I don't know if you can see it on the camera here. There's one piece that's shining down in there, way down in there. That is the ribbon vibrator actuator lever. And it was broken when the machine came to me, but I found a spare part, polished it up, and made the replacement in there. So now it works. Works beautifully, in fact. we'll do a little type test with you and show you how it works. Underwood 3 bank, serial number 93622 from November of 1923. And by the way, the serial number on these is right down there on that little plate. Probably need a flashlight to see it, but that's where they live. To seat your paper in there, just push it into the back and kind of wiggle it down until you feel it snug up against the feed rollers. And then roll it on through. Make sure your paper fingers are on the edges of the paper, not off to the side. And then you're good to go. It's on the black setting. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And that is very nice print for being almost 100 years old. Go to the red setting here. One note about the red setting on these machines is that the ribbon will sometimes like to get caught here on the type guide, and if that happens, you can just reach up and either snug it up with one of these spools, or you can just keep typing because it's gonna pop back down. I'd say it's probably 1 out of every 5 keys that you press on the red setting is gonna make that ribbon get caught. It won't do it on the black, it'll only do it on the red. And that's mostly just a flaw of the design. I've never had one of these that doesn't do that, and I've been through a bunch of these. It's on the red setting. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And again, pretty nice type for being 100 years old. Almost 100 years old. Take your paper out, grab your paper release, and just pull. Easy peasy. And again, to lock your carriage on this, you're gonna need to use that little carriage lock. So I'm gonna pull that up, and I'm gonna push this down, and center it just like that. So there you go. November of 1923, Underwood 3 bank portable. Such a delightful, snappy, cute little typewriter. Hope you guys enjoy it. Later.